the war of generations. In this war, both parents and children are fighting, and often it's close relatives, father and son or mother and daughter. On the Orikhiv front, a father and son serve side by side in the infantry. Both have been at war since 22. Both went through the Robotyne offensive and know its true cost. They were both wounded. Despite the fact that the soldier with the call sign Batya has 8 children, he doesn't leave the army because his youngest son is also at the front. So they sit together in the trenches, weapons in hand. The report from the Orikhiv direction by TSN correspondent Ruslan Yarmolyuk.
That's exactly why I went, because I have a big family.
Batya has 8 children, 5 of his own and 3 adopted. To go or not to go? There was no doubt.
When the full-scale invasion began, I spent more than a month praying and asking God to give me understanding of how I should act. That is, I understand that Christ must be in the trenches, and otherwise how can I tell the guys that I'm here beside them, that I'm with them?
Ivan Volodymyrovich is a Protestant pastor, a volunteer, and a father of many children. He went to war following his son Ivan. Both of them are in the infantry.
Coming here, as they say, for one son, now I have a bunch of sons here. And that's a principle. Well, that's how it should be. A father should be like a father, a mentor, a friend, just a brother in arms, someone sitting right beside you.
The 55-year-old father has a complicated story. He comes from the criminal 90s. As a pastor before the war, he cared for prisoners and those who had been released.
I believe that God gave me this opportunity, gave me this chance, because I myself am from, well, former, respectable people. Well, as they say, yes, white and fluffy. Now, in the Orikhiv direction, he carries out combat missions together with his son. He went through the crucible of the Robotyne offensive together with the young man. He survived, saved his comrades during evacuation, and kept his son safe.
Everything's fine, thank God. Thank God, right? Hallelujah. Well, the tank, after that, my knees are still shaking because I was wounded twice by a tank. You know what I mean. And so, even if you know it's somewhere out there, that moment when it fires and hits right away, that still gives me a bit of a tremble.
Still very young in age, but already mature in his actions and behavior. Ivan has seen the blood and deaths of his comrades. He has 2 wounds, but he didn't leave the front. Wherever his father and the guys are, that's where he is too.
Who am I now? So I'm here, Dad's here. So that means everything worked out, right? In the sense that the upbringing, that we're together and we're doing fine, as they say, we're moving forward. We move forward together, going through, as they say, both good moments and hard ones.
He doesn't regret anything. It's his choice. He thanks his father for his upbringing and the values his dad instilled in him as a child. Here at the front, Ivan is among his own and he stands as an equal with the older comrades.
It gnaws at you, for example, when you're on leave, when you've changed your surroundings a bit, and it starts to eat at you a little because you see not so much that they're in civilian clothes. It's not that I'm judging anyone for it. It's everyone's choice, but the attitude, for example, sometimes the attitude is just inappropriate, not just towards the military, but towards the situation in the country as a whole. I mean, you can see people just hanging out, walking around with a bottle of beer, for example. At least behave a little more modestly, so it doesn't hurt those who are standing up for you.
Even though their father is nearby, they don't argue, and their dad doesn't tell them how to live, what to do or not to do. There is a war, there is an enemy, and it must be destroyed, says 25-year-old Ivan.
First of all, he's a friend to me. He was my friend even before the war, and now he's also my brother in arms, and of course my commander. I mean, there aren't any issues or anything like that. We have, as they say, freedom of action, but everything is coordinated. That is, it's not like with some commanders where it's, I said so and it will be done my way.
The enemy is constantly assaulting our fortifications, both on foot and with vehicles. A father's fear for his son and a son's fear for his father is always present. Both the father, the son, and the guys in the unit pray before every combat mission. And Ivan says, it works. The main thing is to believe.
Of course I pray. Even when I'm not scared, we try our best. When those same cabs come in, or just in general, you say to yourself, Lord, place your protection, your shield. So, and, well, you see the result.
The war of generations has become a reality. Now both parents and children are fighting. They are fighting the same eternal enemy of Ukraine, the Moscow Kremlin. Ruslan Yarmolyuk, Mikhailo Putyata, TSN, 1+1, Marathon, United News.
Some Russian units have found themselves encircled in the Dobropilya direction, reported Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky. As a result of the counteroffensive operation, more than 3,000 occupiers and nearly 1,000 pieces of equipment were eliminated. And overall, during the Ukrainian counteroffensive, 175 square kilometers of territory were liberated and almost 200 kilometers were cleared of sabotage groups, Syrsky reported. Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region also continues to be protected from saboteurs. The city is under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine, the General Staff assures. Active counter-sabotage measures are currently underway. In the north of Kupiansk, Ukrainian defenders are searching for and driving out Russian occupiers who infiltrate the residential area in small groups, trying to establish themselves and build up strike forces. Entry into the city for civilians is restricted to ensure the effective conduct of military operations against saboteurs. The Russians are using a similar tactic to try to capture Yampil, which is southeast of Lyman in the Donetsk region. However, our defenders responded quickly to the enemy's plan and repelled 5 attacks in this direction over the past day. The Pokrovsk and Novopavlivka sectors of the front remain the most active. Half of the clashes are taking place precisely in these areas. Ukrainian defenders are also performing successfully in the sky. Our soldiers destroyed a Russian Mi-28 helicopter using an FPV drone. The pilots of the 59th Brigade of Unmanned Systems Forces did a great job, according to the unit commander Robert Madyar Brovdi. A blackout, Russian style. In Belgorod, the local thermal power plant came under fire. Part of the city was left without electricity and water. This was reported by Russian telegram channels. According to local residents, on the evening of September 28th, at least 5 loud explosions were heard in the area of the city's thermal power plant in Belgorod. Due to the shelling, part of the city was left without electricity and water supply. In some areas, traffic lights, street lighting, and air raid warning systems stopped working. It is also reported that the local electrical substation was hit. Problems with electricity supply are also being observed in nearby settlements. It was also tense overnight in the Bryansk region. There, the Karachev electrodiesel plant was under attack. This plant, among other things, produces components for military missiles, armored vehicles, and communication systems. A triumph for pro-European forces in the parliamentary elections in Moldova. Despite Russia's attempts to disrupt the vote, the party of pro-Western President Maia Sandu is securing a majority in parliament. With more than 99% of the votes counted, the Action and Solidarity political party has received over 50% of the voters' support. According to forecasts, this will give them about 50 to 54 seats in parliament, which has a total of 101 seats. The success of the president's party is explained, in part, by the relatively low voter turnout in the pro-Russian regions. However, those votes were enough for the pro-Russian Patriotic Bloc party, led by the former president, to enter the Moldovan parliament. It received over 24% of the votes, which will give the party 27 seats. The pro-European Alternative Party also made it into parliament with almost 8% and is expected to get 8 mandates. 2 other political forces may receive a small number of votes. These elections in Moldova were marked by numerous attempts at interference from Russia, as reported by both the country's authorities and observers. US President Donald Trump is considering the possibility of deploying long-range Tomahawk missiles in Ukraine and will make the best decision regarding this matter. This was confirmed on Fox News by US Vice President J.D. Vance. He also explained the shift in Trump's attitude. Last week, Trump criticized Russia, said its economy is going to hell, and even suggested that Ukraine is capable of reclaiming all its territories. J.D. Vance says the president's words are based on reality. Russia is not winning the war, despite making incredible efforts, suffering heavy human losses, and exhausting its own economy. And instead of accepting this reality, it refuses to engage in negotiations with Ukraine in any format, either directly or through US mediation. So Vice President Vance called on Russia to, quote, wake up and accept reality.